Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
I'm Chris Clements.
We are here on a cloudy, rainy day.
What is this stuff coming down from the sky?
It's
foreign matter.
It's been a wild March. I feel like this has been the strange because we haven't really been that hot. We got to 80.
It was
a couple days ago.
A very temperate February, and it's usually just the opposite. You remember last February, the entire golf tournament got rained out.
Yeah,
completely.
Right.
People were
the rain. I feel like the rain definitely came.
People were surfing the golf course.
Yeah, the rain came later this year. So typically,
was it ringing?
Was it buzzing?
Yeah, no, sometimes it's like making it like noise. Wait, okay, it went down. Maybe it's not in here. It sounds like a bell.
Well, sorry about that.
This might be the first time we've ever been interrupted, like full on interrupted.
I don't know what that is.
Alex is very concerned about what he's hearing. I'm not hearing anything other than us, but all right.
Start again?
No, just keep going. It's just we don't edit, remember? Folks, if you're watching, you see what's going on. If you're listening, Chris was having some issues with his phone.
It's a Samsung.
That's right. That's the problem. You need an iPhone.
Say it.
I just can't stand it when I text Chris and it's green.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, but the phone works. And you can drop
my
it.
iPhone works. I drop my iPhone all the time.
Well,
you know
finally.
how clumsy I am.
Yeah, finally.
So the weather has been strange, and it was rained a lot yesterday. Rained a little bit this morning.
It's going to rain today.
It's going to rain again.
Rain tomorrow.
Today.
It's great.
It's Wednesday, March 12th.
It's fantastic.
Well, and it's so the interesting thing is that this probably disrupts spring training a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it was already
winding down.
It's weird. It's not even the middle of March yet, and it's winding down. I mean, the Dodgers are gone.
It started early.
Yeah,
it was early. It was way earlier.
And Dodgers are going to Japan to do
some
games in Japan.
That's right. I looked at their schedule. I was like, this schedule's odd. I was trying to figure out a game to go see them, and they never played out at Salt River Fields.
Oh, they didn't play.
No, they didn't play a game out there. Now that's where I wanted to go see them.
Yeah,
because that is the best place to see a spring training game.
I don't know. Giants Stadium is pretty neat.
Giants Stadium is great, but you have to like the Giants, and I'm just not.
My wife is a Giants fan, and if I go, if it's not the Dodgers, I'll cheer for the Giants.
Yeah, the great thing about that stadium is that you have the Scottsdale Charros have the outfield there. And
yeah,
that's cool. If you can get tickets to that and hang out and see a bunch of people, that's always fun. But in the many times that I've been out there and done that, I've never watched a game.
Right.
And nor do I care about the Giants, and I always wear my Dodger gear because I hate the Giants.
There you go.
Speaking of the Giants, I tell you who I keep running into? So at the Global Ambassador here in the great city of Phoenix, Sam Fox's brand new hotel, couple mornings last week while I was getting coffee, I looked up and there was Dusty Baker, and I did not say hello to him.
You didn't say hello?
I didn't say hello. Well, because it's one of those moments you're like, is that him? I think it's him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He doesn't have a toothpick in his mouth, but if he had a toothpick in his mouth, then I know it was him. He has a hat on, and I didn't realize he was that tall.
He's very tall.
6'2". And the 11-year-old in me was like, Dusty Baker. He's always a Dodger in my mind, even though he's been skipper to like the worst teams in human history.
Yeah.
The Houston Astros, and the Giants.
Right. Well, I mean,
although he was the Nats skipper, which I love the Nats.
He was an icon.
And the Reds.
But
the Cubs.
It is when you see someone who is a sports star, but it is post-career.
Yeah.
There is a little like Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Works out at Lifetime. And, he and my wife have a friendship.
Oh, yeah, you guys. That's right. Donovan McNabb has a thing.
We went into
for your
Lifetime
wife.
yesterday, and he's on the treadmill, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Well, his son played for Brophy, I think, last year. Yeah,
that's
there's a
right.
bunch of big time players' sons playing for Brophy. They still didn't win the state championship despite it all.
But it's just interesting. It's fun to see and to associate with, or at least interact with.
Seeing Dusty Baker, I mean, led me to interject yet again that we need to have Steve Garvey on.
Yeah,
need to have him on the show since he's your buddy, he's your pal.
Buddy, yeah,
broken 11-year-old's heart. He
Okay,
left the Dodgers for
I'm-
$6.6 million.
That's why I'm not inviting him on, is because I know that you'll bring that up and it'll be awkward.
No, it won't be awkward. I mean, they retired his number after he retired from baseball, and he only was there for 3-4 years. It wasn't like he was a Padre icon by any stretch.
They retired his number
almost immediately when he retired from baseball. They retired his number as a Padre.
Really?
Yeah,
was he
I read
6
that
for the Padres as well?
What?
Was he number 6 with the
I
Padres?
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he wasn't there for very long. He got a $6.6 million contract for, at that time, was unheard of. It was the biggest contract in baseball.
It was big.
Outbid the Dodgers, and he, was a traitor.
Doesn't happen anymore. Nobody's outbidding the Dodgers.
Nobody's outbidding the Dodgers anymore. Maybe he can go back and play.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least be a coach.
So speaking of outbidding, we've talked about this, the Zelensky meltdown, Trump meltdown, however, depending on how you view the world. We've talked about that. And, it's interesting. I got some feedback from a listener who messaged me on Facebook and said, you didn't talk about Trump saying that Zelensky was a dictator.
And week before.
Yeah, and I thought we had mentioned that. Then that he walked it back. He didn't, whatever. But that's fair criticism. So Zelensky, went in a little bit of a, chip on his shoulder, but also bad advice from other European leaders and probably Senate Democrats.
Yeah, but you got to put that comment into context as well, because Zelensky was saying some things about Trump the week before, and he just hits back.
No, there was a war of escalation.
Yeah.
The escalating words.
And then when he came into the meeting, if you watch and listen to that first half hour, it was
very nice.
Trump was. Yeah, I must have said something like that, but that was nothing. That was just,
Did I say that?
Did I say that?
No. So
he was being magnanimous completely
until he wasn't.
So
then they pulled the aid, they pulled the intelligence, and now they've gone back. So they had a big meeting in Saudi Arabia. Intelligence is now being provided to Ukraine. Arms are going again, and there's some hope that there's a peace deal in the making.
Yeah. I was thinking about this and all the criticism going back and forth and up and down and everywhere. And some of it's valid and some of it, is just hyperbole. But I come down to a basic point, and that is it's all happening.
Yeah.
Like for 3 years, nothing happened.
Right.
We spent billions of dollars on Ukraine for a stalemate. That was pretty much a stalemate 3 years ago. And Joe Biden, because he was non-compos mentis, he could not engage Putin on any type of engagement.
Well,
none of his people were ready to engage on this type of level. And what you're seeing now is at least engagement, trying to get something done. I think there's validity to that.
I agree. I think that it was stalemate, but I do think that what the United States provided Ukraine prevented them from losing.
Yes.
But it created a stalemate, but stalemate was better than losing to Russia. So at least that happened, and now we can end it. My hope is that we can end it.
Well, and then has Zelensky said when he's going to sign the minerals deal?
Well, I think that the latest I saw this morning was that
I've seen back and forth.
The minerals deal is back on, but they don't know whether it's the original minerals deal or they're going to redo it. My guess is it's going to
change just a little bit
for the United States.
It's going to change just a tad. So really, the ball is kind of back in Russia's court right now.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see how European leaders respond.
They've been pretty quiet the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Ironically enough.
Well, because Zelensky came back to the United States, said, yeah, you're offered, but they don't have much to offer. So I need your help.
saw a tweet about like, the French providing their Peugeot tanks or something along the lines of the Brits providing their rundown Rolls Royce, motorcycles or something like that. And it was hilarious.
There's not much to offer.
Yeah.
Not much
They
to
don't.
offer.
And that's really what it comes down to, is that we are the provider of peace in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't shy away from that. And there's a lot of criticism of whether Trump is trying to shy away from that. And I don't know if you saw our new friend, Mark Thiessen's column this week, where he illustrated 5 points that people are getting wrong about what Trump really wants to achieve with Ukraine, that he is not pro-Russia. In fact, if anything, he knows exactly how to deal with the Russians in a way that Russians will respect. And he knows also what buttons to push and levers to pull in terms of wrecking their economy if we need to. But it was a great article, and kudos for him for standing up for what really is trying to be achieved. And he has a lot of skin in the game too, because AEI was the one who put together this whole idea of the minerals agreement.
Right. Well, and and so there's that piece. Now the thing that's vexing a lot of people right now is the tariffs issue.
Yes.
You see, the economy has been challenged. Now, today, the market is back up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't buy into the market fluctuation as a reaction to the tariffs. I think that's part of it, for sure. Nobody likes being whipsawed, and everybody wants to try to plan for what's ahead.
Right, you want some stability.
But there's not only uncertainty within the tariff realm, but thankfully we saw a CR get passed this week,
right,
earlier than anybody thought.
The House passed it. Now it's got to get to
the Senate. But in that CR, you're seeing modest increases in military spending, modest increases in spending for Homeland Security, but basically a flat increase in spending until September 30th.
Right.
Which nobody thought was possible.
Right.
And that in and of itself is a victory. And it's signaling to the markets that I think Republicans are more serious than in the past about cutting spending.
Yes.
You have DOGE finding $150 billion of savings. They haven't even dove into the big nuts,
right,
which are Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the Defense Department. And HHS. They haven't really gone there yet. So what if that $100 billion turns into $500 billion, turns into $1 trillion?
Well, I mean,
it could conceivably.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that
Elon
it will.
Says it should be $1 trillion.
But what if it does? And so I think that's signaling to the markets. If you look at what the markets have enjoyed over the last 4 years, it's been a gravy train.
Yeah.
And it's signaling to the markets that this is going to be a little bit painful.
Well,
in terms of government expenditures being pared back, and whether the Republicans can move forward with tax cuts and regulatory reform.
Well, and you think about it, if you are pulling $1 trillion of waste, fraud, and abuse out of the government, that's reducing your GDP number, because all of a sudden we've had an inflated GDP.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. So
gold bars being tossed over the Titanic. I mean,
so we'll see what.
I mean, what Lee Zeldin is fighting in EPA alone is unbelievable. The education department is going to be no more within the next 6 months.
They're laying off 1,300 people.
1,300 people. What is today, Wednesday? No, the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. today is closed for security reasons. And then we'll open up again tomorrow with the staff that's left.
That's great.
Which, I mean, at the end of the day, the Department of Education is just a bank for wayward students and a public loan program.
It's not necessary.
And
there's plenty of
union security fund.
Yeah, there's plenty of. Everyone says, "Well, without the Department of Education, what are you going to do about this?" You can figure those things out.
So the things they're actually managing, and the only things they really manage like Pell Grants and student loans, they're still managing.
Yeah.
Those haven't gone away.
Right. I did want to address one thing, and I know that we're short on time yet today, but
we're going to have 3 podcasts airing this week. So
it's pretty good.
Once again.
It is astounding to me how short-sighted the left is.
Really?
And I mean,
how so, Sean?
Well, remember that the whole push for green energy, for alternative energy, for electric vehicles, all came from the left, right? We got to save the planet.
Yes.
And then Elon Musk comes along, and he does something that nobody thinks is possible.
Elon Musk.
Mass producing, electric vehicles that actually have impact on fleets across the world. And he was hailed as a hero to save trying to save the planet. And now you have leftist environmentalists literally setting charging stations on fire, creating fires at Tesla dealerships, and attacking Tesla drivers just randomly on the street.
Have you been attacked?
I have not been attacked, thankfully.
Well, if you look at the last 2 weeks, I think there's ways of evaluating Trump's ups and downs the last couple of weeks, and that's all fair game. But I think the left and Democrats in particular are imploding in ways that we never thought they would implode.
Yeah.
I mean that's one illustration of that, not standing for a young boy dying of cancer at the State of Union, along with Lake and Riley's family. And you can go down the line of the things they refuse to stand for, which are gimmies. And then you have this, not only the Tesla piece, the entire focus of DOGE itself and cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, people getting Social Security benefits at age 300 or something like that. I heard that this morning, or cash going out to children. And now we have all this revelation of all these corporations that were part of this cabal to resettle young immigrant children across the country. There's going to be hearings on that. There's so much corruption and evil actions that have happened over the last 4 years. We're just looking under the tarp right now.
Yeah.
And what's under there is disgusting. And then you have this, members of the House, members of the Senate coming in line for this, terrorist agitator at Columbia University who was arrested the other day and now is going to get deported back to Syria or wherever he's going to go. And they're like, freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Mama, I can't remember his name, but I mean,
well, and we will next episode, we will do a little bit of a dive into the anti-Semitism that we're seeing across the country, both on the right and the left.
Yeah, we should.
Because it has been there on the right for as long as I can remember. KKK, right? And the Nazi types. And they were the ones who were marching in Skokie, Illinois, years and years ago, that the ACLU defended, whatever. But you're seeing it like in droves from the left. And what's interesting is that it is like at the very core level of the left. It's like grassroots up. It's, and it's infiltrated all over college campuses. And yet Axios this morning had this big story about how there's anti-Semitism amongst the right-wing influencers, where, podcasters have, and so Theo Vaughn and others have platformed people with anti-Semitic views. It's like, that is a fraction compared to the widespread anti-Semitism.
Well, if you look,
on college campuses.
Columbia University last year was the epicenter. I would say UCLA might have been the other one, of anti-Semitism, and I wouldn't even call it. I would call it pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist sympathies.
Yeah,
and it was disgusting. And now this gentleman who has a green card, that green card can be revoked at any time and should be.
I mean, that's the law.
And the left is trying to defend it, and
Right.
it is indefensible.
And
should be an interesting week.
Right.
To see what happens.
Yep. Well,
I mean, but they are imploding in ways that you could only imagine.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're going to pull it back together in time for the midterms. That's another conversation we need to have about what are Democrats doing to prepare for what should be a good midterm year for them.
At least on the House side, it certainly should.
I don't know if it will be.
But you have people like Elon Musk already talking about a 60-member Senate. That if you look at the map, that is entirely
It's
doable.
not outside the realm of possibility.
Well, when you have Mark Kelly, where is Mark Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, I know where he was. He was in Ukraine this week. What an
That's right.
idiot.
Well, look, he's doing what he thinks is his job as the senator, and fact finding. That's fine. I mean,
Mark Kelly has been AWOL on every major foreign policy engagement over the last since he was elected.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
he should remain in the basement of the Senate.
Or he should just come on the podcast talk.
Oh, you should?
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Until next time, folks.
Thanks for listening. God bless.
Thank you.